Hello again, everybody. This is Doc from Thorofan coming to you with the name behind the race, and I am here on location at beautiful Belmont Park, that grand old lady of American racing. It is the third jewel of the Triple Crown coming up in probably just about 24 hours now, the Belmont Stakes. And while we don't have the Derby or the Preakness winner in the race this year, no Triple Crown try, still a very, very competitive race, an amazing race card. If you are in the area, be sure to come out on Belmont Day. We've got Songbird, an amazing Met Mile, the Turf Classic, just so many great races on one card. It really is almost like second to Breeders' Cup Day in the talent that we'll have here. And one of those races on the undercard is actually going to be the focus of this week's segment of the name behind the race. It is called the Woody Stephens for 3-year-olds, run at about 7 furlongs, and it's named after a trainer who is synonymous with Belmont history here at Belmont Park, Woody Stephens, and he did something that honestly I do not think you will ever see repeated in the history of the turf. What was it? We're about to show you as we look at the name behind the race. Woody Stephens was born Woodford Cephas Stephens in 1913 in Stanton, Kentucky. Introduced to the racing game at an early age, he tried his hand at being a jockey at 16. Mother Nature had other ideas, though, and he could not maintain the height and weight requirements of the jockey life. A complete natural around horses, he then turned his trade to training, opening his stable in the 1930s and training for various owners. He did not score his first real big client, though, until he was asked to be the private trainer of the powerful Cainhoy stable in the later part of the 1950s. Owned by Harry Guggenheim, no, not that Guggenheim, but rather the very successful and wealthy New York businessman who, as facts would have it, was one of the founding members of the New York Racing Association that now runs the track that made Woody famous. But more on that in a bit. As a trainer for Cainhoy stables, Stephens trained several great horses, including Neverbend and the champion Bald Eagle. He also trained the winners of 3 Kentucky Oaks for them. Staying their private trainer until 1966, he then decided to go back out on his own as a public trainer and took on some new clients and won many, many, many important stakes races. A venerable walking encyclopedia of the sport, Woody lived and breathed horse racing. You could always find him studying the races or hanging around his barn, making sure all his horses were doing well. He also loved to tell stories, and anybody who was willing to listen could be entertained for hours by him, recalling many of his past triumphs. While he did win over 100 Grade 1 stakes... What? Yep, you heard right. Over 100 Grade 1 stakes in his career, there is one accomplishment that Woody was more proud of than any other. An accomplishment that pretty much any racing writer, fan, or participant will all agree likely will never be duplicated. In the years 1982 to 1986, Woody Stephens owned the Belmont Stakes, training the winner in each of those 5 straight years. Started in 1982 with the later-to-be-named Horse of the Year Conquistador Cielo, who accomplished the Belmont win a mere 5 days after trouncing older horses in the prestigious Met Mile in a track record time of 1:33 flat. How many trainers today would wheel a horse back on 5 days rest to run a mile and a half after that?
Here comes Gato del Sol, but they're far back. Conquistador Cielo, complete control. This Belmont Stakes has the field by 15 lengths, maybe 20 lengths. Gato del Sol is second.
In 1983, it was Caveat winning it for Woody. Suffering traffic trouble in the Derby, he skipped the Preakness and set his sights on a second Belmont win. As you can see, there was no trouble at all for Caveat in this one.
Gaining ground on the outside, Barberstown and High Honors. Now Caveat gains the lead. Slugo back into second. Then it's High Honors. Barberstown heads apart for third as Caveat has the lead by 3. Slugo second. It's Caveat in front. Still a half off of Swale.
1984 saw Woody get his Derby win with Swale. Beaten in the Preakness, he came back looking for a record-tying 3rd straight win in the Belmont, something that had only been accomplished by trainers back in the 1800s. Swale kept Woody's streak going, though, winning the Test of the Champion.
Out now to about 4 lengths. Morning Bob on the rail, joined on the outside now by Pine Circle, moving up quickly. Pine Circle takes second as Swale leads to the wire.
Swale's win was perhaps the most bittersweet win a trainer could have, for just days later, while grazing in a paddock by Woody's barn, he suddenly died of a heart attack. It was again a cruel reminder of how the emotional roller coaster that is horse racing can affect everyone, even those at the top of the game. Many had wondered if Woody would hang it up after this and retire from suffering such a devastating loss. Retirement, though, seemed the farthest from Woody's mind when the late spring of 1985 rolled around, as he amazingly was in a position to win an unprecedented fourth straight Belmont with not one, but two entrants in that year's edition. What would be the ultimate finish for a trainer with an entry? Well, to finish 1-2, of course, and Woody's team did not disappoint.
It's the entry of Woody Stevens. Creme Fraiche with Maple. Steffens Odyssey with Pinkai. Chief's Crown is third. Creme Fraiche on the outside has the lead by a neck with Steffens Odyssey second. Creme Fraiche in front.
By 1986, Belmont was Woody country now, and everyone who came to that Belmont Stakes wondered, could he do it yet again? This was the year of Ferdinand and Bill Shoemaker winning the Kentucky Derby, and Woody had a pretty strong outsider named Danzig Connection, who was not given too highly of a chance in the Belmont. The fairy tale was completed, though, in that sloppy and storied stretch of Belmont Park.
Challenging that lead. Farther out is John's Treasure. On the rail is Personal Flag moving into fourth as Danzig Connection now draws clear. This is going to be the fifth Belmont for Woody Stevens. John's Treasure on the outside of Ferdinand. Danzig Connection has the lead.
Woody's Belmont streak was snapped in 1987, and he saddled his last Belmont starter, ironically named Cephas after Woody himself, in 1988. He's seen here breaking from the one post and making a run to finish a distant fourth that year behind the amazing runaway winner, Risen Star. Feeling the effects of emphysema and deteriorating health, Woody's stable dwindled in the years after that amazing Belmont run, and unfortunately he eventually succumbed to these ailments, passing away just shy of his 85th birthday in 1998. All great sporting accomplishments deserve to be enshrined so their memory lives on from generation to generation. Such is the case with Woody, as in the corner of the entrance to the clubhouse at Belmont Park is Woody's Corner. It serves as a permanent reminder of the man who owned the Belmont in the mid-1980s, and also showcases some of his other trophies, and the many stakes his horses have won through his 6 decades of training. Anyone who comes to Big Sandy should take some time to head over to Woody's Corner and see the accomplishments of this great trainer. See the legacy of the man who had the entire Belmont grandstand cheering his name in that Belmont stretch run of 1986. See the testament to the life of a man who was, above all else in this world, a true and legendary horseman.
There you go, everybody. The reason why Woody Stevens will basically be synonymous with Belmont history and lore as long as they bring horses to the post for this mile-and-a-half classic. A feat that, honestly, in my opinion, it's up there with the greatest achievements in all of sports. To be able to train a horse, 5 individual horses, all to be able to get that mile-and-a-half distance 5 years in a row, it's a mind-boggling feat when you really think about it. And again, something that likely will never be repeated in the history of the turf, in my opinion anyway. For the Belmont, I hope everybody has a really safe trip. I really don't have a pick yet. Obviously, I'm not sure when this will exactly be put out in the newsletter, but there is some concern right now about Epicurus and whether he will actually run because of the potential foot lameness he had going on. Obviously a bummer to lose Classic Empire as well. So I've really got to still look over things. It'll probably be a race time decision. But as I said, I hope everybody has a really clean and great trip in all the races. If you are around on Saturday, be sure to come by Belmont Park. It's going to be an amazing day of racing, as I said. Hope to see everybody out there. I'm going to be here. If you happen to be here as well, be sure to stop by, look for the pinhead. Say hello. We'll chat some horses. I can tell you all about Thorofan if you want to know about it. And, have a great time. It really is a beautiful place. You've got to come out here at least once in your life. If you happen to have a race that you're curious about the history behind or the name behind, drop us a line here at Thorofan and we'll be sure to research it for you. You never know, might end up on a future segment. I'm Doc for Thorofan, and we will see you next time. Have a great third jewel of the Triple Crown on the name behind the race.
If you're an incredibly passionate thoroughbred racing fan and want to find a whole bunch of people that are just like you, why not check out Thorofan at Thorofan.com. Sign up to become a member, get our amazing weekly newsletter, and learn everything and anything there is to know about this amazing sport we call thoroughbred horse racing. Thorofan,
giving the fans a voice.